I'm sad.
Nina is also doing very well in Ryal's class. Very, very well.
I just could not believe that she literally, when we came, the way she greeted us, oh God. And I was like, wow, okay. Me and Sapna both were shocked.
Okay, we're live, everybody. Class can
Okay.
begin.
Lovely. Hello, everyone. And here we are with our last prose chapter. And after we're done with this, which we will do over 2 sessions, we will be done with all the poetry and all the prose. So this is Tiger Hills. And Rakshita, may I request you to please put the first page up. And Rakshita is going to do the introduction. Then we're going to take turns reading. We're going to keep stopping because there are a lot of little words here and there we'd like to explain. And also there's some phrases and idiomatic phrases which we like to go through with y'all, make sentences and take it a bit easy. We're going to take 2 weeks, so 2 sessions, so it doesn't matter if we take a little more time. It's quite simple otherwise. There isn't really much to worry about. So Rakshita, if you'd like to start with the introduction whenever you're ready.
Yes, ma'am. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, thank you.
So this particular chapter is written by General Ved Prakash Malik. And it's a very interesting chapter. It is separate from the rest of the chapters we read because this chapter is in the narration of a true event, a very important event even in Indian Army and in the history of Srinagar as well as Kargil and everything that we've been fighting for. It's personally very close to me. This particular incident describes how India was suffering to take back a part of India. So what happens is sometimes militants or basically they come and they capture certain areas which are really crucial for monitoring. So for example, if I am a militant and if I'm sitting at a place which is higher than the rest of the area, I can sit there and I can look at every other movement that is going on. And that is really dangerous for a country because then you basically, it's like you've amputated a limb. It's something like that. You can equate it with your own body. So it's the story of how we got back that particular hill and the struggle of it. If you guys have watched this movie in which Hrithik Roshan is there, I'm forgetting the name. And there's this one movie, right? Yes,
Lakshya.
Yeah. So that movie is based on this particular event. Okay. Yes, ma'am. That is all I had for the introduction.
Thank you. So we'll read alternately. So I'm going to start. It's called Tiger Hills. Tiger Hill towers majestically above all other mountaintops in its vicinity. It towers majestically. Obviously, it is the highest of all the mountains in that area, right? Majestically, royally. Although located almost 10 kilometers north of the Srinagar-Kargil-Leh highway, the enemy position on this mountaintop dominated parts of the highway. After the recapture of Tululing and the adjacent features, evicting the enemy from the well-fortified position became a priority. Okay, so this is a first-person account. He's telling us the story as it happened. After the recapture, obviously this place had been captured by the enemy and now they have managed to recapture. They've managed to get it back. Adjacent means next to each other or side by side. Please distinguish it between adjacent and opposite. Okay, opposite is across, adjacent is more side by side, right? Evicting the enemy. What is to evict someone? Anyone? What is to evict?
Remove.
Yes, remove.
Over
to
here,
evict.
it can be killed.
Perfect. Evicting the enemy from this well-fortified position became a priority. So as Rakshita said, that this was an excellent position which the enemy had managed to capture. It was the high ground and therefore it was a priority to remove them from this well-fortified, protected position, a position in which you couldn't easily attack them. Fortified from the word fort, right? So when you were in olden times, you had a fort which protected you, which kept you safe. In the same way, if you are on some mountaintop or somewhere, it's very hard if you're on a high ground for the enemy to get to you. As the sharp triangular top of Tiger Hill was clearly visible from the highway and appeared almost impossible to capture, the media had projected the entire episode as a national challenge. All right. So obviously, this is an extremely difficult thing to do, to recapture this place. The media has projected it, has shown it, has depicted it. This entire episode. What is an episode? It's perhaps a group of events or a single event, okay, taken in isolation. So it is just this that the media is showing you continuously, this episode, and making it out to be a national challenge. Like this is going to be a huge challenge for the Indian Army to recapture this area. Would you like to take it from here, please, Rakshita?
Yes, ma'am. Brigadier M.P.S. Bajwa, Commander 192 Mountain Brigade, assigned the mission of capturing Tiger Hill to 18 grenadiers. Now rested and reoccupied after their achievements at Tululing and Hump, and to 8 Sikh, which was already deployed at its base. Both these units were assigned by a crack team from the High Altitude Warfare School with maximum possible artillery, engineering, and other combat support. Okay, so Brigadier MPS Bajwa, he's the commander of what? 192 Mountain Brigade. What's a brigade? Brigade is an overall umbrella, which is for the entire area. Okay, under a brigade, you have multiple units like 18 grenadiers, 8 Sikh. These are units. These are the names of units, okay? So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, SA, 18 grenadiers, and 1, 2, 3, 4, SA, 8 Sikh. Sikh unit mein you mostly have Punjabi people. Grenadiers is associated with a different clan. So 18 grenadiers, as he has said, has just, they were now resting and they had just reoccupied. So these were the people who were fighting for Tululing and Hump, all right? And 8 Sikh was already deployed at the base. So this unit was already situated. In the presence of this unit only, the Tiger Hill had been captured, okay? And both of these units were also assisted then by a crack team, basically it's a team of small people from the High Altitude Warfare School. Why? Because it was a hill, right? So we needed people who had an expertise in climbing hills. So they had provided maximum possible support with artillery. Artillery is another branch of army, as well as artillery means, all the guns and everything, all the things that they would need to climb and basically to compete. Engineering is another branch of the army. They were also deployed, and other combat support. So as you can see, all support that could be possibly given was given to this particular team. Throughout the last week of June 1999, 18 grenadiers probed to establish the extent of enemy's defenses and to scout for suitable routes for the assault. So assault here is not, the assault that we generally call sexual assault, not that assault. Assault is to basically, capture or, like make them lose, make the other party give up, basically. Okay. To scout as we know, scout guides you to scout basically is to go after, to scout for suitable routes. So what were they told? They kept on, researching for 1 week. They kept on researching what all ways could they, take to reach that particular hill. Because as we've told, that hill was, the enemy was at a higher position, so they could see us. So you need to find out routes through which if you go, then you won't be as visible. All right. A simultaneous multi-directional assault emerged as the best strategy. Simultaneous means together. So for example, me and Rachna ma'am speak together, so we'll be speaking simultaneously. And multi-directional, so from all directions, assault emerged as the best strategy. The commanding officer of 41 Field Regiment drew up an elaborate artillery fire plan. Individual guns were
Change the
ranged so
page,
as
please, Rakshita.
I've changed it in my laptop. Is it visible now?
No. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. As the fire plan. Individual guns were ranged so as to cover each objective. Bofors, I think it's Bofors
Yes,
guns
it's go
were
for it.
used in a direct firing role once again with inspiring accuracy. On the day of the assault, nearly 120 field and medium guns, 122 multi-barreled, Grad rocket launchers and mortars rained death and destruction on the enemy at the Tiger Hill. The Air Force too targeted Tiger Hill on 2nd and 3rd July and hit the bullseye several times during its missions.
What
So
is
as you
to
can see the entire
yeah.
sorry.
Sorry.
So as you can see, the entire, the number of guns, the number of machinery that they've deployed itself shows us how important the mission was and how hard they were working. All these are the names of the guns. And as Rashna ma'am was saying, to hit the bull's eye, have you seen the movie Sant Ki Aankh? That entire movie is about hitting the bull's eye, right? So it's basically to hit right at the spot, like to hit the correct spot.
Yeah, also when you have a dartboard or bow and arrow and you've got to hit the target, right? So when you hit right on the target, exactly on the target, you will be hitting the bull's eye. You'll have to explain this. And later we're going to use these terms to make sentences. So I'll continue. For the first time in India's military history, a TV channel covered the battle live, a sign of progress and transparency, not to mention the on-screen depiction of confidence. So a TV channel was actually covering this. And this is a sign of progress, obviously, as in technological progress, but of transparency and on-screen confidence. What do you mean by transparency? What do you mean by transparency? Anyone can speak, please? Yes?
See-through.
Yes, what do you mean see-through? How is it see-through in this scenario?
Because they're covering the battle, so they can the public can see what is exactly happening.
Yes, that's Pratiksha, I think, from the voice. Yes, the public at large and everyone in the country, it is transparent for all citizens to see exactly what the army is doing and exactly what the government is directing. Correct? So it is transparent, and not to mention the on-screen depiction of confidence. Like, I mean, if the army was confident of doing a great job, I'm sure they would have been least keen to have live TV coverage, correct? So in both ways, it was, and this transparency is a huge thing because it's not very often that the government's going to put itself out there. I mean, literally what the citizens saw was what was actually happening. The Tiger Hill feature extends about 2,200 meters from west to east and about 1,000 meters north to south. The main extension is towards the west, on which there are two prominent protrusions. What is a protrusion? A protrusion is something that sticks out. So if you have a flat surface and something sticking out of it, it's a protrusion. Like on our faces, our noses are a protrusion. And particularly if you've got a really nice big nose, Pinocchio type, it's a protrusion. So on a level surface, you have something sticking out, that's a protrusion. Okay, so there were two prominent protrusions. The first, approximately 500 meters west of Tiger Hill, had been named India Gate, and the second one, Helmet, located another 300 meters away. approximately one company of 12 Northern Light Infantry from Pakistan held the whole feature. So this whole area was being held by the 12th Northern Light Infantry, okay, which is obviously a section of the Pakistani army. At 1900 hours on 3rd July, 18 grenadiers, which now you know are the Indian side, commenced its multi-directional assault under the cover of bad weather and darkness, supported by the firepower of artillery and mortars. Again, under the cover of. What does that mean? They had an assault under the cover of bad weather and darkness. What do they mean by that?
Camouflage.
Yes, exactly. When you're going in the night, nobody can see you, right? So the darkness camouflages you. And clearly there was also bad weather. So that's the time people least expect you to attack. And also they can't see you, right? Because remember, these guys are high up there. So they can look in all directions. Great. A company captured an intermediate position called Tongue by 1:30 hours on 4th July. Further advance along the southeastern spur leading to Tiger Hill Top was stalled due to accurate fire by the enemy from India Gate, Helmet, and Top. So now you see that as these people are trying to move, clearly they're being fired upon by the Pakistan army, which is already in the higher position. What is a spur? The spur is also much like a protrusion. It is just something sticking out. Okay, so it is quite the same, an area of high ground extending from a mountain or hill is a spur. Okay, now you're going to have to talk to them about these hours, 1700 hours, 1:30 hours. You guys have got this, the military clock, right? So after 12 comes 13, 14, 15, 16, all right? So you're going to have to explain all this. The military clock will have to be explained. Okay, Rakshita.
Yes, ma'am. I just wanted to add a little bit. So
Yes.
every unit, we saw 18 grenadiers, right? Every unit is divided into 4 companies mostly, which is Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, and Delta. So the A is our Alpha company, all right? Also, so as you saw, they are naming the places: India Gate, Helmet, Top. So basically, whenever you have to attack some place, you give small nicknames because you talk over the walkie-talkie, right? You can't tell us that I'm coming from the right side. You have to say the name of a specific place where I know where you're at. So it's very important to give proper nicknames, distinguished nicknames, so that they don't confuse each other. So Meanwhile, Captain Sachin Nambalkar led the Delta Company assault from the east. His company had to negotiate steep escarpment using mountaineering equipment despite the darkness and the inclement weather. So escarpment is a long, steep slope. So basically, as we saw, it's a hill and it's a pointed hill. So Captain Sachin was basically coming from one direction, so you mostly send one team. So if it's a steep slope, people won't expect you to come from there, right? So you send the most advanced team from the most steep slope so that the enemy is expecting you the least. They don't keep a watch on a steep slope. His approach took the enemy by surprise. After some firing, Delta Company was successfully in occupying the eastern portion of Area Collar, which lay within 100 meters of Tiger Hill Top. If you've seen Lakshya, Hrithik Roshan was playing the role of Captain Sachin. Ma'am, would you like to continue from here?
Certainly. On another front, C Company and Ghatak Commando Platoon under Lieutenant Balwan Singh also surprised the enemy, this time along the difficult northeastern spur, and obtained a toehold just 30 meters from the top. So it's clearly not showing you this multi-directional assault which they were planning. We can see how A company, B company, D company, how they're all coming from different directions, taking different approaches to reach the top. At 400 hours on 4th July, after a carefully orchestrated artillery bombardment, Sachin Nimbalkar and Balwant Singh, along with their men, approached Tiger Hill top by climbing a sheer cliff and caught the enemy unawares. A carefully orchestrated. What is to orchestrate something? To orchestrate something is to plan something to get a desired effect or to get some desired result. You coordinate efforts, you plan something very carefully. Now, this orchestrate obviously comes from the word orchestra. And then again, you're going to have to explain that because they may not have that word orchestra, a group of people playing music together, right? They have to be in time with each other. They have to be synchronized to each other. Each musician can't do his own thing, right? They've got to play correctly in a correct way. In the same way, when you orchestrate something, you coordinate, you plan all the different efforts to succeed and to get one common goal. So they orchestrated the bombardment, and these two men, along with their people, approached Tiger Hill top by climbing a sheer cliff. What's a sheer cliff? Very, very steep. Very, very steep. Okay? And caught the enemy unawares. Of course, because if the cliff side was so steep, definitely the enemy would not expect you to climb that and come up. After a spell of hand-to-hand fighting, after a spell, not spelling, another spell, a period of, a short time. After a spell of hand-to-hand fighting. So imagine this, they have climbed up using all kinds of mountaineering technique up the super steep slope, and they've come up and caught these guys unawares, and then you can't shoot, you know, when you're just like very, very close, they're actually fighting hand to hand. So imagine that. After a spell of hand-to-hand fighting, they succeeded in capturing the objective. Although 18 grenadiers held the top now, linking up with them was not easy. So 18 grenadiers have got to the top, but now the enemy is still around there, and the other people around have got to make contact with them up there. When the initial surprise wore off, the enemy started gearing up for launching counter-attacks. Started gearing up, started readying up, started getting ready for. I am gearing up for my exams, which are next month, right? So that means I'm getting everything into order. I'm going to start studying. I'm gearing up, all right? After a spell of hand-to-hand fighting, so you can say, after a spell of laziness, I ultimately decided to start studying for my exams. Okay, just giving you a few random examples of putting these words into sentences, because we'd like to do that later, time permitting. Yes, Rakshita.
One of the most difficult tasks during the course of a battle is to maintain one's hold on the ground captured before the next assault can be launched. Throughout the next morning, artillery duels continued, casualties mounted on both sides. The grenadiers hung onto their precarious perch with grit and determination. Grenadier Yogendra Singh Yadav and his team members exhibited exceptional courage during this assault. Okay, so throughout the next morning, artillery duels means constantly, firing guns and battling, basically all forms of battle. Okay, duel is basically when two people fight one-on-one. Duels is a term which has been used from the very, very old era. Kings used to duel together because to fight for their estates, the entire kingdoms. So that duel comes from there. Casualties is the number of people that died. Casualties mounted on both sides, as it always does during war and fights like these. The grenadiers hung on with their precarious, which is not safe, as the book says, not the exact meaning, but works for now. Precarious, dangerous, Perch is a high seat or position. Perch means they kept on holding the upper hand. They were not letting the enemy overpower them. With grit and determination is also something you'll hear very commonly together. Grit and determination is basically a very, very hell-bound, will. They were not losing basically their focus. And the psychology of a soldier or an officer in this particular situation becomes really important, because you see these guys have almost not had any food for the last 12 hours, because the entire journey, we read it so fast, the entire journey of climbing up is a difficult one. You can't be sleepy, you can't have to pee or go to the washroom, there's no option like that. So you basically have to prep so well. You can't drink too much water, but you can't be thirsty also. It's a very dangerous situation. Here he's called Grenadier Yogendra Singh because he's not an officer. As you saw, all the officers had their ranks: captain, lieutenant. He is a grenadier, he's a soldier. Okay, so Grenadier Yogendra Singh, and he's being mentioned, that's a huge deal because he must have fought really well. So Grenadier Yogendra Singh Yadav and his team members exhibited exceptional courage during this assault. At this stage, 8th Mountain Division realized that it would not be possible to evict the enemy from Tiger Hill completely as long as his supply lines along the western spur were intact. Mohendra Puri and MPS Bajwa then issued orders to aid Sikh to attack and capture Helmet and India Gate, the two locations that they mentioned earlier, both located on the western spur. So the enemy reinforcement to Tiger Hill top could be prevented. The move was also intended to cut off the enemy's supply route. So one thing becomes very important to note here is the supply route, the enemies, it was actually an entire unit of Pakistani army that was there, as they mentioned before. Pakistan obviously disowned that it was not its unit, it was not even a part of the army, but they had a lot of supply coming in. You can only imagine they're constantly fighting and still there is a proper route that is supplying them. And this situation becomes really crucial to cut off that particular supply, because till the time they're getting supply, they will be able to survive and we won't be able to, evict them. Ma'am, do you want to do this last paragraph?
Yes, and then, oh, I thought we'll stop here because there's hardly any left. Like, yeah, great. So can we please stop here?
Yes.
So I just thought before Rakshita takes the questions, which she's again framed really well, I thought we'd just take some of these phrases and words which we discussed earlier. And if you all would like to volunteer to quickly make simple sentences with them, because then this is in the same way you can do this with your mentees later on. So the first thing I wanted to give you is adjacent. Adjacent, it said adjacent features. I said like side by side. So, adjoining. So would you like to, somebody just unmute?
Ma'am, may I?
Yes, please.
Maharashtra is adjacent to Gujarat.
Yes, excellent. Maharashtra is perfect. And that's a perfectly good one for them to understand the meaning. Evicting, eviction. I mean, you can change the form of the word, please. Okay, to evict. Come, guys.
Ma'am, may I?
Yes, don't ask permission. Just unmute and speak.
When the tenant did not pay the rent, the landlord evicted him.
Yeah, you just read my mind. Well fortified. Well fortified.
Rashna, with your permission, may I share the whiteboard where I can type the words so the people on YouTube can also see the words?
Oh, yeah, why not? You don't have to ask my permission, please. Anything that makes it better, easier. So well fortified. Think Shivaji's forts on the hilltops. Right? He always chose, Shivaji was an excellent general and he always chose positions which were well fortified, right? He always chose positions on hilltops, which were well fortified and very difficult for the enemy to reach. See, the same thing. I don't know if you'll have ever been to any of these spots or even seen them from a distance. Even in Rajasthan, you'll see them on the high ground, so they can see everybody approaching from all sides. Episode.
Could you please repeat the word, ma'am, please?
Episode. Phrase is written it. An episode is an event or a group of events, right? Which can be seen in isolation as one. So how was the last episode of the Game of Thrones? Come on, guys.
Online Pehchaan has been the best episode of my life in 2020.
Superb. Well done. So episode is a period of time also in her case, right? So that's brilliant. Assigned. To assign somebody a job to do. Oh, come on. Pehchaan is just full. You're forever being assigned things to do. So come on. Hey, come on. I can't believe you people.
Ma'am, may I try?
Yes, don't ask. Hey.
My political science teacher has assigned me a truckload of assignments.
Okay, well done.
And that is the truth.
Sorry, well done. Sorry.
That is the truth.
Yes, that's truth, unfortunately. So Sejal was assigned to be the, what was she on that, the narrator or the compare or what at our Pehchaan event, right? To scout for, to look around for, to search for. So I know that Kajal has been scouting around the whole of Colaba market to find us the best prices for our food distribution, right? So similar sentence, to scout for.
Ma'am.
Yes.
The hunters were scouting for an animal in the jungle.
Okay, great. Very good. Where are we? Okay, simultaneous.
I was doing 2 jobs simultaneously.
Perfect. I was doing 2 jobs simultaneously. Often on Zoom calls, we speak simultaneously, because we don't realize that the other person wants to talk. Thank you. Assault, attack.
Mumbai has been assaulted at Taj Mahal at 26/11.
Yes. Good. Mumbai was assaulted. Yes. At 26/11. Strategy. A plan, right? To achieve a goal or some objective that you may have in mind. You may create a strategy for anything. You may even create a strategy to pass your exam.
Ma'am, could we give an example of the IPL that's going on? Both the teams devised a strategy to win the game.
Yes, excellent. Please use things like this where events like these, which the mentees will be very, very familiar with and interested in. Excellent. I suggest you have no classes after 7:30 because that's when the matches are, I think. Okay. Elaborate. To elaborate can be 2. But I think here elaborate is, I can't remember the context. To elaborate on something is if I say something and then I explain that, I am elaborating, okay? If I say a concept and then I speak about that concept, like Arushi and I've done 100 times in GK. What is the Human Development Index? So then somebody say, I don't understand. So I'll say, oh, let me elaborate on that. Okay, let me tell you more about that. Let me explain. But elaborate can also mean something, a very elaborate, like if you have maybe what shall I say? Like an interior of a room is very elaborate. It's very done up. In the same way, you go to a wedding, which is like totally over the top, and you can say, oh, it was very elaborate. So, much, much more than what you would usually expect of something that would be elaborate, right? Done up, excessively done up. Somebody wants to give me a sentence?
The teacher asked me to elaborate the answer to get full marks.
Yeah, perfect. Okay. Protrusion. Protrusion is something that sticks out.
Can you please repeat it again for me?
Protrusion. Protrusion. A protrusion is something that sticks out. So on a level area, you have something that sticks out. It's a protrusion. Like we Parsis have big noses and there are real protrusions on our faces. Anything that sticks out is a protrusion, right? So
every year IPL prostitution, some controversies with players.
yeah, there are always controversies, but I don't think that protrusion would work in that.
Is it okay if I try?
Please, of course, just.
I have so many pimples, so many protrusions on my face.
And it explains it perfectly. It explains it perfectly, right? So on her smooth skin, she has these little bumps. Perfect. Thank you for that. Okay, I'm just going to skip under the cover of. And Mohammed explained that very well last time. Under the cover of. It's usually under the cover of darkness, right? Because it's you're using the darkness to hide. And clearly, most of the time, under the cover of, you're doing something you're not supposed to be doing, right? So the thieves robbed the bank under the cover of darkness, right? So if you went in the night and stole something, it would be under the cover of.
Ma'am, I have one doubt. Under the cover of, it can't be an influence, right? It is supposed to be under the cover of darkness.
Yeah. That would be under the influence of.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely under the influence of. Okay, great. So to maintain one's hold on. To maintain one's hold on. In this case, the army has to maintain its hold on this area that is already captured, right? They said it's one thing is to capture. Second is to maintain your hold on that area, because remember, the enemy is going to keep coming back at you to try and take it away, right? So to maintain your hold on. Now, it can be also, you can maintain your hold on somebody else. All right. That's, you are influencing somebody else. All right. That would also be maintaining your hold on somebody, influencing somebody to stay under your thumb or under your influence.
Ma'am, can it be an opinion as well?
No. What
I will
do you
use
mean?
an example and you can let me know.
Yeah, please tell me.
So, during the debate, in spite of repeated, in spite of strong arguments by the counterparty, Rohan maintained his hold on his perspective.
Yes. Super. Fully agree. Yeah. Lovely. Very good. Great.
Ma'am, can we say it like actually maintain to hold on example? I'll give an example. It is hard to maintain a hold on.
I can't hear you, Mohammed. I'm sorry.
Hello, ma'am. You can hear me now?
Yeah.
It is hard to maintain a hold on slime. Is this applicable?
Sorry, I didn't get. It's hard to maintain a hold on.
Slime.
What is that word?
It's a gooey sort of a play thing. It basically.
Okay. You mean because it's slippery?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that would be too literal, no? Now we are trying to. We're not actually holding on to something. This is more idiomatic. You're not actually holding on to something. So, well, technically, I guess literally, if you took every word, it would be correct. It's hard to hold on to something that is slippery. But here we are using in its idiomatic sense to maintain one's hold on. So you're not wrong, Mohammed, but that's definitely not the context which these people are using it. So thanks. Yes, please.
I think Saurav has given a great example to maintain a hold on rank in the class.
Yeah, great. Yeah, all those nerdy types who need to come first and then need to stay there, right? So then you want to maintain a hold on your rank, and I'm sure that's really tough.
Ma'am, may I try this once?
Yes.
We normally maintain a hold on to show our superiority.
Yeah. Why not? Yes, we do, don't we? We want to say we came first. Yeah. Fine. Okay, great. Here come Rakshita's questions. Now really put on your thinking cap. Thank you. Rakshita.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, with your permission, I wanted to share a picture actually
why
of
not?
the hill and the surroundings. Okay.
Guys, Rakshita is an army child. So she's really knows what she's talking about. So it's really good that she's here with us today.
So I had gone mountain climbing. This is the Kashmir Valley. Tiger Hill, if you would, is something like this. Do you see the hill, which is a little faded when towards the behind? Yeah. So that is how it would be. And can you see this route, this entire track that is there? That is how you build a boundary. That is how the enemy would have probably built their track. So they would basically, build boundaries, both the sides on both sides. Like this is one fence you can see. You build fence on both sides. And basically the middle path is where your men walk and they basically take everything, and such small huts are made so that you can keep the stuff there. So it takes time, but it's a very effective system. This small little thing here, that's a bunker. It's made from, you put sand in all these bags and you basically make a bunker, so you can keep your gun on it and you can hide underneath it. The sand is filled so that if somebody shoots at you, you don't get hurt. So you basically take cover when you're shooting. So they would have built all these bunkers and everything on the entire path. That's how, they had been telling you for 1 week, they had been, inspecting which path to take. They're probably making all of these arrangements.
Interesting. Very interesting. Thank you. Okay, on with the questions.
Yes. The first question is, why did Tiger Hill become a priority? So the answer would be the geographical thing. Would anybody like to attempt it?
I think without the text, it might be a little difficult.
Should I put the text?
Because it's high on the mountain, it will be very easy to find our enemies who are making planning or entering our country.
Yeah. Yes, because of its location. It's definitely a priority also because of its location.
The second question, yeah. So also it became a priority because the media was publicizing it. So it became a huge issue, how something we don't get to know about a lot of things that are happening around us. But if a specific amount of attention is paid to something, it becomes a sudden priority that you need to prove that, you can basically take it. The second question is describe the location of the hill in your own words. It's sort of a follow up to the first question. In your own words, just simply whatever you understood, the triangular and everything. Would anybody like to try?
Sorry, Rakshita, please repeat the question.
The question is describe the location of the hill in your own words. So this could include you describing the India Gate, the helmet, all the parts that divided it into, and what was the hill looking like. So all of that, all that you asked from, you can give a rough answer also.
Okay. Mathura, you want to try that, beta?
The problem is, not having this the text in front of them. I mean, I really can't expect them to remember every detail.
No, they have the text in front of them. They all have the text with them
Okay.
because it's been WhatsApped to them, so it's available to them. And in our other classes, they can reference the images sent to them. It's perfectly okay. They have it available. Madhura, you want to try that, please? Or Sejal?
So the Tiger Hill is a sharp triangular hill, and that I'm not able to phrase the Hamlet and India gates. Could someone help me with that?
Sure. Jisha, you want to help Madhura with that? Are you all finding these questions difficult? Because if you're going to find these questions difficult, your kids are going to find them difficult. So this is the time to speak up and tell Rashna and Rakshita if you're not able to understand a question, or if you're finding it difficult to get the answer. Okay, staying quiet doesn't help any of us. Mohammed, Avisha,
Ma'am, may I help Madhura?
please, Khushi.
The western side of the hill had two protrusions, and they were both that were roughly 300-400 meters apart, and they called them India Gate and Helmet to be able to differentiate between them.
Okay, Khushi, it sounds correct because I can see Rashna's head going like this.
Yeah. So it was the triangular thing. It was the helmet and back. It had that one side where it had that very, very steep slope. Remember the one which they climbed, and they got these guys by surprise, and then they had the hand-to-hand combat, right? So try and get from the chapter all the little parts from all the places which are telling you something about the location of this place. So they're all over the place. So you're going to have to look for them, and you're going to have to find them all.
Guys, there was a slight problem from our side. I'm really sorry. The chapter wasn't sent on the group before. I have put it up on the group. You can look at it. Also, the reason why I put these two questions is they will really, I feel that these questions really help me understand whether my kid got the chapter or not. You see, these questions are basically all that is there in the chapter. If you look at these questions, the entire part of the chapter that we read up till now is basically describing the hill from various directions, because the hill is basically our, pinnacle of attention here. So the answers that I would want you guys to look for is basically if they get that, it's such a hill, it has all these protrusions, it is located in such a place, all the area around it, there's a highway also close by. So all the area around it is not as high as it is. It's not a hilly area. It's mostly flat. The hill stands in the middle. It's a triangular hill. Okay, so basically to understand why it became a priority and to relate it with the location of the hill is why I've kept these two questions together.
Hey guys, you all didn't know that we hadn't put the chapter up, huh? That's also quite telling. Okay, anyway, let's go to the next one.
The third question is, it's one of my favorites. The battle was covered live by media. Do you think this has a positive or a negative impact on the public? Support your answer with examples.
This is what's happening now every day on the TV with something else. This is a very good question. Let's talk. Yes, everybody talk.
So I think it was a negative. It creates a sort of a negative and a positive impact. Like seeing so many soldiers die and all these problems happening definitely scares the normal people don't who aren't used to such situations, and people may face a lot of uh, face a lot of problems trying to sort of understand what is going on, and it may scare them, but then in a way it also encourages people to be more patriotic towards their country when they see soldiers fighting for them. So yeah, that is.
Great
So that's
question.
a well argued answer, Kushi, truly.
Somebody else?
Can we have Kajal try? Kajal, can you try? Maybe she's having network issues.
Yeah. So this is totally your opinion, right? So
Farah, I saw you put your hand up. Yeah,
No,
I'm
so
watching.
because the question was for the public, but I really have an opinion that it should not be broadcasted live, because that way you're also letting the other parties know what you're planning to do. And we remember we had this issue during
yes,
the 26/11 attacks, when
absolutely. Yeah.
exactly, so our police and our people were planning something and strategizing that they would enter into an area from the backside. But because our media was showing it live on TV, the terrorist associates, whoever were watching TV, told them, "Oh, the Indian army is coming from this side, so I'll better be aware." So when we show it live, we are just opening up our moves to the other party, and it doesn't work for anybody.
I would like to add also, we are letting our enemy know what is our next move. So it is better if you do, like, if you are even going for your enemy, always go without telling them so that you could surprise them and take over them. That's what I think.
Great. Great opinion.
I just want to add one. Does anybody else want to try?
I would agree with all that was discussed. Just one positive point to add is it also shows the strength of your army and your preparedness to the people. So that could just be one positive. So obviously, this is an answer I feel which has both sides, positives and negatives. So it's good to discuss both, I guess. So just one positive that I had to add to what everyone said was that it shows your strength and how well prepared you are. I mean, the army, Indian army.
Yes, anyone else?
Also it's it shows that how hard the army works. We always say that they work hard, but we normally don't see the way do they fight these fights, and the way they go for these missions. So if you're broadcasting it live, or if you're broadcasting, if not live, then like it shows a lot of things that way. It's from the positive side.
Yeah.
What I feel is, am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah.
What I feel is to give out points which are helpful to the citizens to know, to have a safer hand, like they know that what is happening, but not to broadcast each and everything that our enemy doesn't know what is an issue. So it's,
Yeah.
the media may want to do something else, but it may be delivering something very harmful.
I think that's a very good opinion.
That's a
That's a
diplomatic opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, but it also, it says show it enough so that the people know what's happening, and it's the proceedings are transparent. But do not go into every single detail where, as Swara and Eksha say, that you may be disclosing things which you don't want to disclose. And so have the media needs to self-regulate, as we keep saying. It doesn't happen very often, but that's a whole separate topic.
One point that I wanted to add to it was one of this is when you show things as serious as death.
Oh my.
Some people just consider it like a movie or like a game, and that mentality is really risky. We need to feel the pain of a soldier dying, or an officer dying, and the loss it's having towards the family. So I think I think to sum up the discussion, basically positively portraying your own nation, but not being arbitrary towards one view that you forget to show what is going on, because there are problems also in the entire system. So yeah, it's a very dicey, it's a very thin line to walk on, to be showing such things through media.
Yeah, I agree. Great.
Okay,
So
I'll
we
do the
done?
next question, ma'am.
Yeah,
One
yeah.
last question. So this is a very simple one, but who are the quote unquote enemies that the author is referring to? I want you guys to, talk to people. I want one answer that we really want to remove from people's minds is Muslims. We need to remove the reply Muslims and even Pakistani in general. We need to, work on that. We need to tell our kids that, no, it's not Pakistani people, it's not Muslims, it is a certain group of people who had made it their motive to cause harm to our country.
True.
Ma'am, I would like to add something to what Rakshita said. Ma'am,
Yes.
I feel that because a small group of people have done a particular thing, the whole, we just refer to, Muslims as terrorists, which I think is absolutely wrong just because of a small group of people. So I totally agree with Rakshita on this point.
Thank you.
This is a great question. I love it.
Yes, and I think generalizations in any event should always be avoided. And we need to teach our kids to be open-minded, to know what they're saying before these kind of ridiculous generalizations just escape, and then just become common knowledge. So we need to be specific, very good, Rakshita, about who the enemy actually is. They are just the people attacking the country, and we don't need to generalize and ascribe those motives onto any other people. Thank you for that question.
Can we
And answer.
describe them as a terrorist?
Yes, they are terrorists. You're right. They are terrorists or they are invaders of some type. But we don't need to, therefore, say that everybody of that type or coming from that area is doing wrong to us or to our country. Great.
Terrorists, militancy, insurgency are terms which are okay to be used. That is the terms which even the army uses. Even they don't generalize even when they see, our own people die, you don't generalize it. Also, you can also give the example of China and coronavirus.
Yeah.
So, it's not China's fault. So yeah, that could also help them understand.
Yeah, sure. Like all Parsis are not crazy guys, just most of us. That's another generalization. Anyway, just to end on with a smile. And so I guess we're done here. Rakshita, thank you so much. You are really becoming a pro at this. So guys, next session, just the last 2 pages, a few more questions, and we're done with the pros. And then we got to really think of what we're doing after that.
Grammar. Rakshita, Rashna, thank you very much. Rakshita, I have one small request, please, because the way we've allocated our different classes now, like Arushi with GK, you and Hawa with Mondays, since we're doing these live, we also need a thumbnail that can go up right after the session. May I request you to be responsible for that? We already have a format. You just need to plug in the new information. And then if you send that thumbnail to Keisha, she'll get it uploaded. If you can please take the responsibility for that. Thanks, Rakshita. Anybody has any other questions?
Ma'am, my mentor Sapna will not be coming because she has exams. So I will be mentoring on my own, right?
Your co-mentor, Sapna.
Yeah, my co-mentor Sapna will not be coming
this Thursday.
Like we do on Saturdays because I have college on Thursdays. So we do on Saturdays. So for the next 4 weeks, she has told she's not going to be coming.
Okay, can you request her to speak with me on that, please? Yes, can you request her to speak with me? But yes, if she doesn't come, yes, you will do it on your own. But if you can request her to speak with me, that will be great.
Yes, ma'am, I'll text her.
Thanks, Eksha. Anybody else have any other questions? Great. Yeah, Jisha, please.
Mostly for Eksha, we are going to reallocate her with a partner mentor.
Okay, fair
Kesha has
enough.
spoken to me about this, and I will do it today. I was just
Fair
waiting for
enough.
some more people to reply.
Fair enough. Let me speak to Sapna today, and then I'll update you, please. Yeah. All right. Just a couple of housekeeping announcements. The TFI registrations have opened for that October 2nd through 5th class. 30 of you have already registered for it. If you haven't, please go ahead and register. They will close registrations soon. Once you get registered, please send a screenshot of your registration to Swara so we can send one compiled list to TFI about who is attending from our side. And we will send you more details as we have them. Swara, the kids who've already registered, we can start getting them on a group so that the things that need to get done, they can at least start getting done. Yeah, thanks a lot, Swara. I have nothing else. Hope all of you are well. And Friday is Ami's second memory workshop. So please attend so you get the benefit of all 5 of the workshops. How many of you remember Naira and Thea?
I do. They were amazing.
Yes.
How could we forget them?
I know, right? So Naira turned 13 years old on the 15th or 16th. And she is quite an acclaimed ballerina. So for those of you who don't know what that is, that's connected to the art of ballet. So she is going to be one of our Fun Friday speakers after Ami Auntie finishes. So we will have our first itna young 13-year-old speaker. She'll be sharing all about what it takes to get to all the exams that she's completed and how she's reached that level. So we're getting more and more into this youth for youth kind of angle that we want Pehchaan to be. And also we have Nafisa slated as a speaker. Unfortunately, she fell ill, but she's recovering really nicely. So hopefully mid-October onwards, we'll be into this youth for youth speaker series that we have. So be really excited, but come for Ami Aunties, finish your memory, and then we'll kick off with Nafisa, Naira, and other such speakers going forward. Yeah, we're training Pratiksha to be a speaker. So we're moving. Hashtag youth for youth, right? All right, if any of you want to speak, if any of you have an interesting topic, message us, let us know so we can get you slated in as well. Any topic is welcome. Any topic is welcome. All right. Chalo, have the best night, everybody. Have the best night. See you soon. Bye.
Bye, love you.
Bye, ma'am. Thank you.
Bye, ma'am.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Pehchaan.